Elena Danaan is a former French archaeologist. She has had extraterrestrial contacts since childhood. She is the author of 4 best-selling books, and she has information about the Galactic Federation of Worlds and how they are involved in the Trump administration for disclosure of the extraterrestrial presence.
You're listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
Well, welcome, Elena, to Exopolitics Today.
Thank you, Michael. I'm very happy to be here again.
Wonderful to have you back on the show. I think it's a very momentous time we're in with this Trump administration that has been newly installed. And one of the things that was kind of like said at the end of the first Trump administration was this Professor Han Eredyon, who said that Trump was working with the Galactic Federation for disclosure, but the Galactic said that we weren't ready yet in terms of our technological development. So how does that carry over to this new Trump administration? What do you think is going to be a major priority for this new administration?
Well, at the time Han Eredyon disclosed this information, the political scene was still unstable, and the timeline of events was still unstable, and it was proven that it was the case where the next election round was different. So the disclosure of technologies, what type of technologies are we talking about? We're talking about exotechnologies, retro-engineered technologies, and all sort of transport and devices that have been developed from this retro-engineering from alien spacecraft. These technologies have been used since the 1950s by diverse programs. The disclosure is regarding the plan of the Galactic Federation is to happen progressively by reintroducing these technologies into the industries of different countries. Because disclosing these technologies suddenly would kind of disrupt the balance of the economy of the countries, you know, and also it would be a shock. And the purpose is not to create chaos and stress, is to reintroduce this technology. That's what the Federation has decided together with white hat political leaders. So this incoming Trump administration, from what I know, is going now to kickstart the implementation of these retro-engineered technologies that, in fact, have been used in secret programs since the 1950s. So it's going to be reintroduced progressively, but quite fast.
Now, that's a picture of Thor Han Eredyon, who's really your kind of principal contact with the Galactic Federation. So when did he first tell you about this plan to kind of like release these old technologies as though they were new technologies for this kind of like administration?
Well, in January 2022, if I remember well, he was meeting the former Director General of NORAD, General Van Herk, to give him an updated plan of the disclosure of these technologies, as well as the extraterrestrial presence among us. So I knew at that time that there was a plan of disclosing these technologies already, that was in the process and that was going to be implemented quite rapidly. But it is only a few months ago, during the half of 2024 that he gave me more information about this. That it was decided, well, it wasn't a new information for him, it was part of the plan, but he said it has been decided, that these technologies are going to be reintroduced as alleged new technologies, that we have discovered new technologies, but in fact, it's going to take things that exist already, and make them look like it's new. This has a very important purpose. Also, it needs to follow the transition of the political events, as the deep state has still some power. The deep state is not going to collapse like this. It's collapsing. They're losing power at great speed, but they are still holding sectors of industries that if you bring new technologies, they can block them or get them destroyed, So that was in the idea of protecting these technologies, not to be blocked, destroyed, forbidden. With law, you can create very complicated sets of blockages on releasing technologies. So it's taking this transition as long as the deep state has still their hands on certain industries. But it's going to go faster and faster, as I was told. That means the deep state is going to recede, So that's why.
Well, there was this amazing story in the Britain's Daily Telegraph where they talk about this flying Uber, and this flying Uber is something that you could actually order, that this will be a personal craft, and it looks very much like a flying saucer. So is this kind of like, and we do have an image of that, so Jazz, if you can put up number 2, that image shows what looks like a flying saucer, but it's somehow powered by some kind of internal mechanism. So, yeah, is this an example of what Thor Han was talking about?
Exactly. And I was delighted to see this in the news. It was quite surreal, but real. And I say, hey, here we go. It has started already. I read the article and I looked into it, and oh my goodness, it's described as a UFO-like electric flying vehicle, electric flying. But when you read the description and what it is about anti-gravity and how this anti-gravity is working. They describe it perfectly. And by the way, it's been created by a former engineer from Tesla. Elon Musk is behind everything. That's something we can talk about. It uses spheres that are creating an magnetic anti-gravity effect. And these spheres, 6, I think, maybe I'm wrong, I don't remember, I think something like 6, they are around in the periphery of inside in the periphery on the edges of this UFO-like. And that hit me because this is exactly the technology that you can find in some extraterrestrial scout ships, exactly these spheres. Usually they have a toroid, a ring that runs on the lower level of the ship. But these spheres really remind us, I know alien spaceships like that, but they remind us of the Honnebu, the German Honnebu, with their 3 spheres. It's exactly the same construct, the same technology. That is the release of this technology with these anti-gravity spheres. What are they made of? There is a toroid inside, double toroid, which is made of horizontal dynamic toroid and vertical dynamic toroid, 1 in 1, but in one the fluid, which is usually mercury, it can be something else, but usually mercury, runs in like this, and the other like this, and it creates a torsion field. And that's what these spheres are. Torsion fields, what it does, it cancels the mass of everything of the structure in which it is included. So I find that very interesting. I disclosed this technology in 2021 as well. And something interesting in this article, Michael, is that it says that it can send impulses in these spheres, electrical impulses, to direct the UFO-like vehicle suddenly in any direction. Oh my goodness, this is the flux liner. The flux liner. So it's exactly like the flux liner. What it is, it's cut like a cake, you know, with segments, and you send electric pulses in the segments, and you navigate the ships like this. This is wonderful. It has started, and that's just the beginning.
Yes. Now, in your book, We Will Never Let You Down, that you wrote and published in 2021, I mean, you described a Galactic Federation of Worlds scoutcraft in that book that looks very similar. I mean, it has these. I mean, you can explain the rotating spheres inside of it. Now, just as we show that, I wanted to get you to maybe like speculate what kind of speed would the rotation of the spheres be? Because I know reading about the TR3B1 that the torsion field effect started to manifest itself when a plasma ring started to flow around at 60,000 revolutions per minute. So is that what's happening in these spheres as they're rotating? So yeah, can you explain?
Yeah, so I do not know the number of the speed of the rotation of these spheres, but what I know is that there's a magnet. There are magnets at the start that induce a magnetic current in one of the toroids that is going to create as a reaction a dynamics in the other toroid that are at perpendicular directions. And this creates what we call the torsion field. It's an electromagnetic field that cancels the mass. And when it spins faster and faster, it's going to create an ionization around the ship. A field, a torsion field around the ship. And if, of course, the ship is in an atmosphere with particles of atmosphere, it's going to ionize the particulate atmosphere and create a plasma. So that's when you know that when a spaceship is about to take off, you do not approach, because as it spins its engines faster and faster, the torsion field is created, and it can tear your particles apart if you approach. And that creates a plasma. Sometimes in the night, you can see the spaceships with an orange or green glow, depends on the composition of the atmosphere. And this is the ionized air that is transformed into plasma, created by the charge of the torsion field on the particles. So that's what I can explain.
Now, one of the things about these kinds of craft with this kind of torsion field propulsion system that generates an anti-gravity effect is that if you're inside of the craft, the laws of inertia don't apply. So, you want to explain what happens if you're inside of this craft and the craft suddenly shoots off at like 100 G or 1,000 G? I mean, scientists will say, well, you'll be just crushed by the wall. So, well, what happens with this kind of propulsion system?
It's the same system as when you are in a high-speed train. You can walk in it. You have, you can move in it as you wish. You're not just pushed by gravity. The the inside of such a ship has its own gravitational conditions for the habitat. So they generate gravitational field that you can just walk around and don't feel the cancellation of the mass with the speed, because when the mass is cancelled, you don't have friction, so you don't feel the moving through the environment, So I've been many times in these ships since I'm a child. Well, physically, for those who know my background. And I can tell when the ship just takes off, you have no idea that it's taking off. You have no idea that it's moving. Absolutely no sensation. You're like sat in a room. It's very impressive.
Okay, great. Well, that explains what happens with the kind of laws of inertia when this kind of anti-gravity torsion field effect is generated, that the laws of inertia don't apply. All right, well, let's move on to these mystery drones that have been seen all over the United States, also in England. They seem to be appearing close to military bases and airports, and people are speculating all about them, what they are. But you did a presentation recently where you discussed the drones belonging to different organizations. So, the first one was the Galactic Confederation. So, you want to tell us, what are these Galactic Federation orbs?
So this is part of the whole plan of disclosure from our Star Nation friends. They have split this plan of disclosure in two parts. The Earth Alliance is disclosing the retro-engineered technologies. When I say the Earth Alliance, I could say the White Hats as well. And the ETs do show the ET presence. So they have decided to make the public accustomed to the existence of civilized extraterrestrial cultures. And they do so by showing more ships in the sky. But there's a lot of things in these skies, There are also retro-engineered, Earth-made ships as well. So what they do, they came up with a plan, is to show orbs. What they call themselves drones. They call themselves drones, not orbs. The Intergalactic Confederation and the Galactic Federation of Worlds, or of planets, you hear it as the same translation, they have different crafts that they are displaying in the skies of Earth. The Intergalactic Confederation, as you show on screen, they are a more advanced civilization and group of civilizations, and they used a technology that is based a lot of using consciousness. And to embed consciousness in technology, the easiest thing to do is to use plasma, to make plasma conscious by polarizing it and creating a pulse in a plasma that is going to be able to entangle with an extraterrestrial consciousness. There's a lot of things out there. So you have this type of orbs which are conscious, and people have had extraordinary experience with seeing these orbs and feeling a presence, communicating with them. That's because it's conscious. And other orbs are drones, remote viewing drones like cameras, that to just recognition or scout ship little cameras. And these are filming and taking information and calculation and studying all sorts of things and sending the data by a quantum way of communicating, teleporting the data from the plasma to a technology that can be on a ship in orbit of Earth or in an underground base, for instance, or anywhere else. So these are these plasma orbs. And there was a French contactee, Robert Lortal, who spent a year in the base of the Intergalactic Confederation in the Himalayas, who saw these orbs a lot because these orbs were visiting the farm of his parents in south of France. And then he had visitors visiting him in his bedroom for a few months. And then they offered him to come to his base in the to their base in the Himalayas, where he accepted. He was taken on board a spaceship, and he spent physically a year there. And there he was shown the other side of these orbs, a device with a screen. And you could see remotely what the orbs were seeing. The orbs stayed at the farm of his parents in France, very far from there. And he could monitor on the screen what was he could hear exactly what was going on. It's incredible he could bring this testimony.
Robert Lortel with an orb, and I think this was 1969 or 68, something like that. So this is an old historic case in France, and a book was eventually published about it. And then the monitor that you described, so that's image number 8, Jazz. Yeah, I mean, that's quite remarkable. You want to explain a little more about exactly how that was producing the output of what the orb was seeing?
Yeah, so there's a quantum entanglement technology here at play. The orb is teleporting information. It's like a remote viewing camera, like a surveillance camera. It's exactly what it is. And so you could press buttons, he said, to hear the sound or to move the orb, the angle of vision. And he could see it on the screen. And he was very impressed with that.
Yeah, because I think he was only, 18 or 19 when he went to the Himalayas to spend a year at this extraterrestrial base. And as I recall, the Intergalactic Confederation, or the ETs that took him there for that time, they create, I think, a clone, right? There was a cloned version of him at his home, so that they could see what was going on.
Yeah. Yes, and they got him for his genetic material, because these ETs, as he described them, were populating worlds with human genome, and they were calling themselves Intergalactic Confederation. They were tall white people, humans, and they were under the management of the Nine. This was in 1969. And this blows our mind, because this is the information that transpired through the communication of Phyllis Schlemmer, and also the contact I had with them also. So it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so those Intergalactic Federation orbs are plasma orbs.
Yes.
With all of these properties that you were describing, and then you describe the Galactic Federation of Worlds orbs as being kind of metallic. That they're very different. So you want to explain that?
Yes, the Galactic Federation of this galaxy, it's a small federation compared to the Intergalactic Confederation that gathers many galaxies. So these ones use Galactic Federation of Worlds use mainly metallic technology. They are less advanced, and they every metallic or solid vehicle you see, it has all chances to be the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Mind you, the Intergalactic Confederation we were talking about just before also has solid ships, right? We were talking only about the drones and the plasma orbs. The Galactic Federation of Worlds that we see here, yes, it's more metallic technologies.
Okay, but I mean, these Galactic Federation of Worlds orbs, even though they're metallic, they have similar functions. They're used for, I guess, surveillance, monitoring?
Yes, same functions, same functions. Yes. When I say metallic, they can appear metallic looking, but it's not exactly metal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The construct the material is a very special material that is half alive, animated with AI. You know, it's very reactive to the environment. It's smooth when you touch it.
I've come across a few experiences, and JP is one of them, that says that he has seen orbs appear in his home and that they have transported him to different places. So would that be like one of the plasma orbs of the Intergalactic Confederation, or would that be one of these orbs from the Galactic Federation?
Can be both, because these orbs can also be used to all sorts of things. They can, of course, teleport people. I would be more inclined to believe it is the more advanced ones, the Intergalactic Confederation, because of the technology, but also because following the accounts of the missions of JP and reading your books, Michael, it is clear to me that the Nordic seas in contact with may well be the people from the Intergalactic Confederation.
Oh, interesting. Okay, or at least connected with them in some important way.
Yeah.
Okay, so next, you took this photo of an object following your plane, and that was, and I guess you realized or were told that it was a Galactic Federation.
Yes, you see it on the middle of the photo on the right. You see a little black dot, and there's another one I gave you that is, I zoomed in, but it was taken from the window of the plane. That's it. I zoomed in. It was following the plane at great speed, and then it stopped, and the plane went on. It was above Germany. Yes, last October.
Interesting.
Yes.
So this is an orb that belongs to the Galactic Federation, metallic, and Thor Han told you that we're monitoring you?
Yes, I often have either orbs or drones or extraterrestrial drones, or ships who follow me when I travel, and I'm always looking at the window, and this is one of them. And I contacted Thor Han and say, yes, it's one of our orbs, one of our drones. Yes. And it was really round, and you could see the reflection of the sun on it. It's metallic, yes, metallic looking. Yeah, difficult. The photo through the window of the plane is not always, clean and anyway.
Okay. So you could see that orb. Was there any way you could you sense it? Could you feel it in any way? Was it transmitting any kind of energy, or was it just doing its surveillance and that's it?
I didn't feel a bond with it, but at that moment I felt compelled to take my attention off my book and look by the window, and I saw it. It was interesting.
Very interesting. Okay, so now let's move on to the government or military orbs. So, yeah, exactly. What kind of technologies are these using?
These are classical drones, Earth-made drones. It's the very enhanced version of the drones we know, but it's used by the military, and you can really see the difference. First, they're noisy. All the spheres and orbs are making no noise, and these do at a certain level, and they have these different lights that light up at night. You see the photo below, and you have extension and arms, and it's never round. It's always different shapes, and sometimes crazy shapes, but you have also these light, and it doesn't really travel very fast. I mean, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so we're kind of familiar with these kinds of drones that many people have seen, or you can actually buy some of these, commercial drones. Now, the ones that are operating near the military bases, they seem to have some kind of stealth technology, some kind of ability to evade the kind of like sophisticated radar jamming frequencies that the military uses to take down drones. So yeah, this has led to a lot of people questioning exactly, you know, what are they? And then you had, on New Year's Day, you had this very strange incident involving a Green Beret, active duty Green Beret, who apparently, you know, blew himself up in front of the Trump Tower. But he had sent an email manifesto previously to another military veteran, and they talked about it on the Sean Ryan show. And according to this Green Beret, Matthew Livelsberger, some of the drones that are operating near the military bases, he referred to them as Chinese drones operating with or gravitic propulsion systems. So that kind of raises and I know Stephen Greer, he also talked about this and made it clear that these were drones that were actually controlled by the deep state using their Chinese assets. So it wasn't the Chinese government behind some of these drones that were coming in off the Atlantic Ocean from a submarine there. It was this renegade deep state Chinese element that was doing this. So yeah, now I'd like to get your comments about that and why you think that is part of the show.
Well, first you have to ask the question, why they are not taken down, especially by the military base. Mind you, with NORAD and with all the technology, the defense systems and protocols in the US, do you think that they would just let foreign drones just fly by even military base without doing anything? Why aren't they shooting them down? It's because it's theirs, Michael. It's the military, it's part of the plan, and they have orders not to shoot at them. So what I know, okay, with this disclosure of ET drones, alien presence, of course they knew there was going to be a reaction from the deep state. As they always do when there is a disclosure, they muddy the waters. They spread confusion by overwhelming the truth with their own deception. They have done that on many levels all the time. And I've mentioned in one of my podcasts, this poor Billy Meyer, who had a real experience, but some photos were just replaced by a fake UFO that he could be accused of fakery, you know. But it's exactly the same. The deep state is seeing all these ET extraterrestrial drones, that orbs, we are going to call them orbs to make the difference, swarming the skies everywhere, and now we have the cigar shaped as well. So the plan was to swarm the sky with even more drones from their manufacturing, and then people would be confused, and the military would be able to say, well, see, it's not ETs, it's Earth-made. Look at that, we've taken them down. Look at that, that's Earth-made. Oh, it's made in China. You know, it's made in Iran or whatever. They can exactly pretend it's, you know, copy a technology that exists in China, for instance, and accuse the Chinese. So take this opportunity to serve their different agendas. You know that they want to start a third world war for a while. They are trying hard. So that's an opportunity. Hey, why wouldn't we take it? You know, this is what I think is happening. It's happening.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, the deep state is launching waves of its own drones that are more advanced than commercial drones to kind of obfuscate, confuse people over the genuine orbs that are being launched by the Galactic Federation and the ETs more generally. Now, JP was taken on a mission fairly recently, where he says he saw these Earth Alliance, pardon me, these Earth Alliance ships that were cigar-shaped, that were about 50 meters long, and that they are going to be launched very soon, and people are going to see more and more of these cigar-shaped ships, and they're going to be a prelude to the even bigger craft belonging to the Federation, the Galactic Confederation, and space arcs. So you want to talk to that?
Yes. Well, as you your audience just saw the little image of the Galactic Federation of Worlds drones, you have first the spheres, then the cigar shapes, then the flying saucer shapes. This one, that's the order of disclosure. Okay, and what JP was shown on, I remember it was disclosed on your channel on the 14th of December. But in fact, he had this experience before, of course. Like a week or two, maybe 2 weeks later, better, there were all suddenly these cigar-shaped ships appearing in the skies, especially Brazil first, and then there were other places. So what are they? These cigar-shaped ships, I've been in one of them a while ago, a few years ago. They are cargoes. They are cargoes that transport little scout ships, and they use interdimensional jump. They're not traveling linear. They use like a kind of a portal that they create themselves. They teleport to distant locations. The scout ships will enter on one side and go out on the other side. And inside it's like a big hangar. It's very, very empty. You have the habitat and all the rooms on the top level under the ceiling, and all the bottom is the technical area where you can repair ships or all kind of technical devices. I don't know what it was about. And you can see ships arriving one side, landing on platforms. It's like a long terrace, and then on the other side there's a launching pad, and they can just go out the other side. These cargo ships were given to the people of Earth by extraterrestrials from the Pleiades. That's where they were made. So that's a very, very common technology in the Pleiades. And these were given to Earth. It's very interesting, to both sides of the story. They were given, these ones are the ones that were offered by the Galactic Federation of Worlds to the US Navy. And you have other cargoes that were also given to Earth, but to the Nazis, by people from the Pleiades also, but from a star system that is Alcyone. And they were Nordic type beings, and they worked with reptilians, Sika reptilians or Alpha Draconians as we know them, who worked with the Nazi closely at building the Fourth Reich, and about all their presence in Antarctica. So these were also given the other side of the story. The one we see on screen, I don't know where it was taken. It can be either side, but it's difficult to say because it's the same technology. So, but the ones we are seeing now, for sure, it's the good side, because all the regressive ETs have been kicked out. So all the ships we see in the sky that are extraterrestrial origin, at least as a technology, are positive.
Now, that's a very important principle that you just described, how the Pleiadians, that they approach a planet like the Earth, which has competing nations. They do it in a way to maintain the balance. And so, of course, during the Second World War, it was the Allies. They got some craft, and the Nazis got some craft. Now, in this kind of post-war era, I believe it first started off that the Soviet Union got Kraft. Kraft crashed there, and as did the United States. And Kraft were given, some crashed, and you have some cases like, I know the Aztec UFO case from 1948 is a good example, where the occupant that survived said that another ship would be going to the Soviet Union to do the same thing. So that they were doing the power balance, keeping the power balance. Now, today, it's the United States and China that are the two, like, I guess, the two major nations when it comes to these advanced technologies. So would that mean that craft that are given to the US today, that similar craft would be given to China?
Not by the same people, I suppose, but I wouldn't be sure of that. I wouldn't be sure that, you know, when you were talking about balance during the Aztec crash, that was right. But regarding the Second World War and the building of the Fourth Reich, it was competing parties and different group of extraterrestrial from the Pleiades who gave the US Navy and the Nazis different, the same technology. Who gave the US Navy these type of technologies? It was Pleiadians from the Taygeta star system and the Federation, Galactic Federation of Worlds, that was created by the people from the Taygeta star system and Sirius B, and that are mainly managed by these people. Who gave the Nazis this same technology? Pleiadians from Alcyon, a different star system. Alcyon is not part of the Galactic Federation of Worlds because they are dissidents. Now, sometimes it's about balance, like with the Aztec crash. Sometimes it's not. It's competing parties who play with the Earth, different factions like pawns, because they had their wars upstairs, and so they are playing on. They have playing on Earth with different human parties. So, did the Federation give ships to China? I would be skeptical about that. I don't have this information, but when there were these Jupiter agreements in July 2021, you remember, China was not part of the final agreements of building this Starfleet that would look after the star system, and China decided to go rogue and to compete against this alliance that is represented on Earth as the Artemis Accords, So I'm not sure the Federation is giving technology to China. Maybe other reasons, but not them. Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that what you mentioned, the Jupiter Accords, is very important because that represented, I thought, a very profound agreement and a consensus by most spacefaring nations that went there, that the US would be the lead nation in coordinating the Earth's nations in interacting with extraterrestrials, disseminating the advanced technologies. But China, as I recall Thor Han has said afterwards, has kind of essentially gone rogue and is not operating within the parameters of that agreement. So does that mean in terms of today, and China is kind of like the main geopolitical rival to the United States, that another group, whether it's the Alcyons or whether it's the Aldebarans or someone else, is now helping the Chinese?
I don't think it's... my speculation would be that it's not another regressive faction of ETs, because they've been kicked out of the star system, and the Alcyon they are redeeming at the moment, actually, but they have not been interfering with us since 2021, when, all these ETs were kicked out. What I would speculate is that China got their hands on this technology at one point in history, recent history, and they've retro-engineered them, and they've been helped by regressive ETs before they left. And they are developing, they have intelligence. They can copy what is out there on Earth, in other countries. They can really copy. And so I'm sure it's not given by regressivities or other factors.
Okay, so that would leave then kind of like the deep state and kind of like the corporations that are still aligned with the deep state that are working closely with the Chinese.
Yes, that's it. Exactly what I mean.
Okay, that's a big concern then, because China is such a powerful nation, and it's such a big industrial manufacturing base. Even now, China's conventional navy is bigger than the US Navy, and they're saying that the Chinese Air Force will soon be bigger than the US Air Force. So you wonder if something similar is going to happen in space.
Well, after my contact, Thor Han, he was saying that China will compete. They will go full beam competing against the Artemis Accord and this new Starfleet, how to say, new Starfleet.
Right.
They would go and compete full beam, but this will lead them to their commercial demise, that they will exhaust themselves financially into this run. And that's how he sees this happening. And because in the side of the Artemis and kind of new Starfleet coalition of countries, space programs, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, not forgetting that they are allied with the Galactic Federation of Worlds and that they have also used advanced technologies since for decades in the secret space programs as well, So there's a lot of technologies, a lot of resources on the side of the Artemis side. And it surely looks like China is threatening, but from a perspective that is taking everything in account, they are not that threatening, and they are going to exhaust themselves. That's how they see it upstairs.
That's good to know. Well, we're recording this on January 16, and of course in 4 days' time Donald Trump will be inaugurated as the 47th president of the United States. And on January 25 there's going to be a rare planetary alignment. So what is the significance of that planetary alignment, the Trump inauguration, and what's going to be happening in the future?
Well, there are planetary alignments very regularly, but there is one just at that moment of the inauguration. In the perfect alignment will be on the 25th, but it starts on the 21st, exactly when the Trump will be inaugurated. This doesn't go unnoticed, because when there is a planetary alignment, and 6 planets, 7 with Earth, it's huge. It creates a gravity pull that is extraordinary. And a gravity pull is, gravity and time are interlinked. Time is linear when there is gravity, okay? And the linear timeline where we are on, it impacts it. What it does, it crystallizes it in a way, how it is at that moment. Everything that's happening on all these planets at that same moment, in these gaps of few days, is set into the fabric of space-time, gravity time, as we could say. That is why this inauguration, this election, is so crucial, so important for the future of humanity. Because whoever president whoever candidate arrived at that moment, he would be the one who would start the new dawn of humanity, the new timeline, in bad or in good. And that's what the run has been about. And Trump arrived, and that's going to be him. And that's going to be the progressive timeline for humanity. And that's it. It's set. So that's what it is important, why it is important.
Well, it's certainly very auspicious that Donald Trump has, as of today, it was announced that on Sunday, January 19, Israel and Hamas are going to implement or start a ceasefire agreement where they release hostages and release prisoners and so forth, and that's going to stop the fighting and I think it's such a perfect kind of like prelude to what many hope that the Donald Trump administration will do, which is to actually bring about peace and just, have all of these agreements reached between conflicting parties, because I know that the deep state thrives on conflict, and they have been stopping agreements. But now Trump has won, the deep state was defeated, and so agreements are now going to be implemented, and this is going to be peace, bring about peace on the planet. And that, I think, is a very important harbinger of what the Galactics want us to do, so that they can start showing themselves and share more technology.
Yes, exactly. And people will be impressed how fast it's going to go. Yes. And peace is the only ground upon which a progressive future can be built. If there is no peace, you cannot bring new technologies because they are going to be weaponized. So peace is a major requirement.
Yes, I think that's very important. Now, Elon Musk, he did a tweet recently where he talked about, where he said that the moon is a distraction and he plans to go straight to Mars. So there's the tweet by this Peter Haig, and there Trump says, Haig talks about, well, let me read it out. There is a long-running debate between the Mars people and the space habitat people. Zubin versus O'Neill, Musk versus Bezos. I have thought for some time now it's essentially futile in the commercial age because the two camps are no longer competing for a fixed pick of launch. And Musk replied, "No, we're going straight to Mars. The moon is a distraction." So yeah, why is Musk so fixated on getting to Mars?
Well, Musk is not against the Artemis project of taking the moon as a landing base to go to Mars. I mean, jump transition point, to go to Mars. He's not opposed to that, but he says it's a waste of time, because why wouldn't we need to stop first on the moon, refuel, and go to Mars? It's because the NASA has corporate agreements with companies to just make a little bit of profit on the way, he says. So he says, let's go first directly to Mars. We can't do that. I can do that. So let's go there first, because why is eager to do that? It's because there's a plan. He's working with the Federation. He's working for the plan of catching up of the technologies, the catching up of the hidden history of the secret space programs. He's been working on this, and he's going to pretend reinventing technologies, but he will disclose them. What is going on Mars? Why so fast? Because it is time that humanity catches up with the normal course of an evolution of a planetary culture. We are late on our evolution, and things have gotten a bit stuck on Earth. And the normal evolution of a planetary culture is to make colonies on other planets and multiply and breed and develop and prosper out into space. So Mars is the first step. So we've been, that has been taken away from us. And now Elon Musk is doing the catching up. On Mars, there are colonies of extraterrestrials that have moved in since Mars was liberated in 2021 from the Alpha Draconians, Dark Fleet, and the Greys as well, but most of the Alpha Draconian and Dark Fleet. Now Mars was given back to these inhabitants, local peaceful reptilian species and some insectoid clans. But also there are colonies in cooperation with these locals who have settled and created biodomes and started terraforming Mars to give it back its ancient atmosphere and make it habitable and breathable again. So there's a lot of work of terraforming. This famous earthquake that I had announced a few years ago, it's part of 2 years ago, I think it's part of this big terraforming. And these ETs are preparing soil. That's an information I just got recently from Thor Han's brother who works on Mars. These colonies are preparing habitat and ground and fertile soil to welcome, as they say, the Earth colonies into these facilities that when they arrive, they can straight away cultivate the soil.
Up until its liberation in 2021, had been colonized by the Dark Fleet, by the interplanetary corporate conglomerate, and apparently they had built, huge industrial complexes there and military bases there, and that there were like millions of people living on Mars. So we know that Mars had bases that had been created by the Dark Fleet, by the interplanetary corporate conglomerate, where apparently there were millions of people there that were producing all of these advanced technologies for the corporate program, for the Dark Fleet program. And of course, you've described the process whereby the Galactic Federation helped indigenous Martians, the reptilians, the insectoids liberate their planet from the Dark Fleet, from the corporate program. But, what happened to the millions of people there in their big bases? Were they relocated? Are some of them still there in some of those bases that are now controlled by indigenous Martians? And I'm wondering how that might impact Musk's colonization plan.
Well, these people were temporarily evacuated during the liberation of Mars. There was a big war. The Federation was involved, and some contingents of the Earth Alliance were involved as well, notably the Solar Warden fleets. When these facilities were liberated from the Martian, the occupation of the Dark Fleet, when it was liberated, locals were allowed to rush in all these installations and just do their marks, and nobody wanted to be there for local reptilians and especially insectoids, tall insectoids, to rush in and just celebrate, And then the Federation said, okay, now it's your planet, it's yours, but may we cooperate with you? So they accept. There were meetings, and they the people were evacuated. Many were brought back as they chose to, and many others were relocated. You can't bring. There was a lot of people. You can't bring them back to Earth. They've never been to Earth, and that would have been really strange. All these people. But there's a reason as well where they weren't brought back to Earth. It's because they were born from at least 3 generations back on Mars, which has different gravity, different atmospheric pressure, different magnetic resonance. And to live on Earth because they were there from generations, few generations, they couldn't physically live on Earth because the gravity and everything is different. So they had already muted into a different branch of humans, you know. So that was the thing as well.
When Elon Musk sends the first starships to Mars, and according to Elon Musk and Donald Trump, that's going to happen by 2028. So the first starships are going to land on Mars, or well, the first manned starships, because they're going to send starships before then. But I think 2026, I think they're going to start sending starships with supplies and so forth to Mars. And then there's going to be the first manned starship missions to Mars, which will establish the colonies. So these colonies that SpaceX develops on Mars, will they essentially kind of like just merge with the human colonists that are there? So it's really not starting new colonies. It's just like rebranding old colonies and say, oh, look what we, yes. Ares Prime is the name of this new SpaceX colony there, but Ares Prime has been around for 50 years.
That is exactly what is going to happen. Okay. And at one point, Thor Han said to me, are they going to rename Ares Prime to just forget about the past? And finally, they decide to keep the name for memory. So it will be still Ares Prime, but as different colonies are also out there and new ones. Interesting fact, there are, so Alpha Centaurians who have built colonies recently there. 2-3 years ago, Thor Han was giving me this information that he was accompanying, part of a project of accompanying Alpha Centaurian colonies ships to Mars to populate Mars, and in agreements with the local Martians, of course. It's a big planet, so there's a lot of room there, and build these biodomes and start terraforming the planet. Interesting fact, they are Alpha Centaurians. When I met in 2020 this Alpha Centaurian lady who told me about Elon Musk about to play a great role in the future of humanity, she was from the Alpha Centaurian systems, and she said to me, because he is one of us. So that was something that I never forget. And still Alpha Centaurians on Mars. You know what I mean? It's no coincidence.
Okay, so that means that Musk's rush to get to Mars is really driven by his knowledge, whether it's conscious or unconscious, that the Alpha Centaurians, I mean, his starseed lineage, are already building bases there. And so if they get to Mars, then what SpaceX is going to be doing on Mars is going to kind of like merge or complement what the Alpha Centaurians are doing there.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Interesting. That is fascinating. Well, there's another aspect about Elon Musk's plans that has a lot of people very, very worried, and that is Neuralink. And recently there was a story about a third patient just getting the Neuralink implant, and this again was a person that was very sick and or physically incapacitated. So you know they would be able to communicate electronically or telepathically with a computer and technology, and that was part of the justification for why Neuralink is a good thing. And according to this story, that in 2025 it's going to expand to 20 to 30 people, presumably again people who are incapacitated. But at some point, healthy humans are going to start having these Neuralink brain implants. And according to Elon Musk, people who go down that path of having Neuralink and these kind of like technological implants, that's going to help them defeat AI in the future. So, and of course, some people have criticized this and say, well, Neuralink is AI, so how can you get AI to defeat AI? But of course, I think Neuralink is not AI, it's something else. So you want to bring clarity to all of that?
Yes. So Elon Musk is known to have warned people of the dangers of AI for a long time now. So what the technology that he develops, it's not AI. What is AI? It's artificial intelligence. It's a computerized program that's been so far that it starts to make decisions by itself. That's not what these devices are. They are a technology that is has a program to make a blind man see, or make a disabled person walk, or all those kind of things. And it's just a device. It's a medical it can be a medical device. It can be a communication device. I have one in my skull, put by extraterrestrials. It's a communication device. I switch it on and off like a walkie-talkie. But that's exactly, and it's more advanced than what Elon Musk is offering. What he's offering, why he says it's fighting AI, because this is not AI. Because it doesn't want people to get, unethical organizations to sell, device to put in people, whether it's AI, they can control people at distance. That's not what he is doing. It's not devices that will allow people to be remote control. That is not AI. It is technology that is just a different tool. It looks like AI, but not conscious AI. It's not the same thing. So, it is a very hot topic, because I bring my perspective to, because I'm in contact with more advanced civilizations and technologies, and I benefit of it. I use these technologies to communicate, and there is no program in the device I have in my body that there's no programming. It's just a communicator, a teleporter of information, and that people are not accustomed to these technologies yet. There's a lot of confusion, of course, but that's what the deep state does, confusion. There are all these medbeds that are going to be in the process of being implemented, but it's not going to be accessible like this for everyone. It's going to follow a long process. First, the more severe diseases, first the veterans, then the kids, then the severe diseases, then etc. And someone who just had problem on his leg, he can't walk. Maybe he'll have to wait a long time. Maybe he will want to try Elon Musk technology. You never know. That's a choice. People will have the choice to try whatever they want. That's what Elon Musk has ethics, believe me. That's not the case of the people who criticize him, the big organization who criticize him. Why? Because they know he's a danger for them, because he's bringing a progressive future. And he's on the side of humanity. He's always been. So, even AI, in the wrong hands, it can be really disastrous. But in the right hand, the technology I see when I'm on board a ship, I see pilots having a brain implant to pilot their ships, and it's a very secure way of communicating with the intelligence, with the AI of the ship, it's like a communicator with another intelligence. There are so many different types and levels of these implanted technology. Thor Han has one in his arm. It's a holographic sheet that is put in under his skin. It's big like this, long like this, and he allows him, when he scans his wrist, sometimes to buy goods. I saw him do that. But that's, because he's in the Federation, he's in the army, and that's what they do. It's a requirement. You need to have that. but it's by choice. You know, what Elon Musk suggests, I mean, it's not forced. It's just, if you want it, you get it. If you don't want it, you don't get it, you know. If you can cure yourself with natural medicine or energy work or consciousness work, if you're able to do that, do it. You have the choice. We will always have the choice.
So there's different forms of artificial intelligence. Some can be more benign, be used safely, and other AI can be more malign and used by regressive groups for negative purposes. Yeah. Okay, so well, that does make sense, because I mean, like, a gun is something that can be used for, you know, for positive or negative purposes.
Absolutely, absolutely. As I was saying, I have a brain implant, and it's only a communicator. It also has a function of creating a magnetic field around me that protects me. That can it can also create a holographic shield. I have actually a holographic anti-remote viewing shield constantly, but that's a technology that just does that. It has no awareness of itself. It's just like, you know, a screwdriver has no awareness of itself. A walkie-talkie has no awareness of itself. You know, that's a difference. There are different tools.
Now, I know you've talked quite a bit about the discovery of a armada of grey hybrids that have been discovered in the Orion Nebula in some kind of interdimensional pocket. Maybe you can explain that, and that there were hundreds of millions of grey hybrids in those craft that were going to be used for some kind of invasion or takeover of Earth that was aborted. So you want to tell us what was involved in this armada and why it's lying stranded somewhere in the Orion Nebula?
These hybrids, grey human hybrid, had been produced by the Orion Greys, the Orion group, who included different grey groups, the Betelgeuse A-bands, who made the deal with the MJ12 in 1955, the Zeta Reticuli, and all different types of ETs. They started this program in 1955 of breeding themselves in. You know, they cannot invade a world like this. They breach the Prime Directive. So what they do, they create a kind of consensus by trying to get the population to consent to be invaded. So they say, oh, we are us. We are you from the future. We need a little bit of genetic material. They cry a bit, and the military authorities and the leaders say, yes, of course, take a few people to renew your genetic material. And the Greys, yes, they go, yes, sign here. And you don't mind our business, we don't mind yours, just give us facilities on Earth. And once they were in, that was it. So they start this hybridization program, but abducting about 1 million people every year, even more, millions of people every year, to create mass-produced hybrids. In what purpose? To replace humanity on Earth with these hybrids, to replace them. And these millions of abductees were taken into factories on board ships, and used as breeders. So imagine, hundreds of millions of hybrids have been created. Hundreds of millions. Where were they? Well, when there's been a big operation of cleansing the deep underground military bases and the undergrounds, the Earth Alliance found a lot of facilities with hybrids, but not that big amount. But these hybrids were from different type of experiments. These were performed by the Earth military, the dark programs that were working with the Greys, what we would call the MyLab programs. They would get the Greys to abduct people, or fake Greys also, making people believe it was ETs, and get abductees into the military bases, and from there experiment themselves with hybrids. So these ones were rescued. But these ones were not the problem. The problem was, where were all these hundreds of millions of hybrids created since 1955? We didn't know where they were. Well, they were found a few months ago, thanks to the help of the Kili-Tokut, which is a culture that was formerly associated with the Orion Greys. They said to the Federation, well, in exchange of a few commercial agreements, because they're traders, we give you the location. So they did. And it was behind the Orion Portal Nebula, M42, the Trapezium cluster, center of the former Nebu hive, that they found this interdimensional bubble, like a mini universe. The Greys were able to do that because of the nebula, the vortex of the nebula. It was a very special vortex. They were able to create a bubble to hide them. It was a dimensional bubble, like a parallel universe, very small, with this armada of ships, cargo ships, having all these hybrids, and they were hidden there, waiting the right moment to be brought to Earth and replace the population of Earth that would have been culled or, killed, or God knows why, what.
Okay, all right. So that was the plan that the Greys had in terms of having their hybrids brought to Earth and taking over the planet. Now, I did an interview recently with Dr. John Brandenburg, and he also described the failure of the Grey hybrid agenda. But according to his analysis or his view, it was because ultimately they couldn't adapt because the Greys have a copper-based blood, whereas humans have an iron-based blood, and that no matter how much they kind of tried to tinker with the blood of the hybrids, they were always kind of weak and anemic in terms of being on the Earth, and so this led to the failure of the hybrid agenda. So does that make sense, or do you know anything about that?
What I know is I would agree with him that they have struggled a lot in the hybridization program. That's why it's been going on for so long, and they've tried a lot, and they've created so many hybrids. They've always been trying to crack the genetic code of humans, and it was very difficult for them. So that's why you find all different shapes and appearances of hybrids. Sometimes they have big heads, small eyes, big eyes. They've been experimenting a lot. That's why they were abducting also so many people as well. These hybrids that were found were bodies without a consciousness. So they were actually operational bodies. But nobody knew they were there until a few months ago. So even this this person couldn't know either. I didn't know. Nobody knew. That they had managed to come out with these bodies that were ready to be interfaced with the Grey hive, which was dismantled. So didn't happen. So that's my my knowledge of the story, which in a way correlates in a way, if you want.
I thought that was a very interesting correlation, because Dr. Brandenburg, he has his own information sources, and I thought it was very interesting that he'd reached a similar conclusion to yours, or what you were told, that matched what he discovered through his own independent research. Well, my last question is really this: the Jupiter hub. What's the latest on that? When will that be ready for use, and when will we in the general public hop on our Uber flying saucer taxis and take a ride up to the hub?
Well, great you mentioned the Uber the taxi, because if it really uses mass cancellation, we can go into space with it, you know? If it's a proper UFO, like as we say, we could go there. It will take time because, you know, also these little UFO, they need to be equipped with warp drive, and, you know, because Jupiter is quite far. So, but you never know. You know, these technologies are being disclosed so fast. What is the Jupiter Hub? Well, it's something that's been created, started to be built 2 years ago by the Intergalactic Confederation, who have a fleet in the orbit of Jupiter. Not a lot of ships left now. They've mostly moved to the outer edge of the star system. So after the Oort cloud, still looking after the star system. They're not gone. They're just a little bit further, but they have left some ships in the vicinity of Jupiter. And they've helped the Earth Alliance build this hub. And they've given one of their motherships that we can see in this reconstitution here in the center, a white flying saucer shape. So they thought it would be great to gift the people of this star system of this commercial hub. It is located near the Stargate behind Jupiter, this vortex, interdimensional vortex. It's a natural occurrence that is locked in the gravitational field of Jupiter. And this hub welcomes people coming through this vortex that are really vetted, really vetted by and the Earth Alliance, and a military presence that is on Jupiter, that is the Ashtar command station. So that's interesting too. And this hub is going to be, yes, a place of meetings, of reunions, of leisure, shopping, you never know what, but all ethical, very well regulated, you know, no slave trade, no weapon trade.
So it sounds very similar to the Deep Space Nine that Gene Roddenberry inspired, and of course that was a very famous series. So yeah, was Gene Roddenberry and the script writers of that series kind of like helped by the Galactic Federation to envisage this kind of future?
Yes, I think so. You know, Star Trek is a disclosure, and the original series, as well as Deep Space Nine, and both were written by Gene Roddenberry, if I remember well, who got first-hand knowledge from two sources: Phyllis Schlemmer channeling of the Nine. I know I'm against channeling, but this one was really well done with a Faraday cage. It was really a real scientific experiment, and contact with the Galactic Federation of Worlds gave him all this information about the Federation. Incredible. I started again to watch the original series, and with stepping back after all what I have lived in my life and all the technologies I've been confronted to, I mean, they talk about technologies that we just learn how to rediscover now, you know, plasma compression, torsion field, dilithium crystals. It's amazing. It's incredible. They talk Mercury engine and toroids. I mean, all these technologies, they were trying to disclose it to humanity already.
Yes, it is amazing. And I think sci-fi writers, I think many of them are kind of overlighted or inspired by extraterrestrials feeding them information about a future that is coming, and of course they write about it. These books become popular, and all of a sudden that future gets manifested in the civilization. So I think that's really a fascinating process.
Yeah, and Deep Space Nine is amazing because you have the Nine, who it's fantastic. The Nine made contact again. This second part of the century. Phyllis Schlemmer, and then I was contacted as well. But also did this vortex, and then this hub, and the planet, which is Bajor in Deep Space Nine for the Trekkies now. Sequence for the Trekkies. Bajor has just been liberated from reptilian occupation. Oh my God, that's Earth. And they are in a probation period to join membership with the Federation, which we are as well here now. This is just great.
Yeah, I had the same feeling when I watched Deep Space Nine. It was like, oh, Bajor is like just a metaphor for the Earth. We are going through the same situation. It really is amazing. Yeah,
and you have the spiritual, religious transition. Everything is mentioned. It's fantastic.
It is. Well, so Elena, people that want to know, I know you have a webinar series and you have a weekly Star Nations news series. So can you talk about those and where people can go to watch or sign up?
Well, I have a website, elenadanaan.org, where everything is centralized there. You find my webinars, my books, everything you want to find about me. Then, yes, I do these webinars on Crowdcast once a month. It's Q&As in the moment. So the next one is 23rd of February. And I do weekly Star Nation News, which is me sharing information I get from my contacts in the Star Nations every Monday on my YouTube channel.
Wonderful. Well, I want to thank you so much for sharing all this really amazing intel, and I look forward to your next webinar and the next Star Nations news, and I look forward to doing another interview with you in a couple of months.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Aloha.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Salla. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.